안녕하세요. 오늘은 5번째 미치 앨범의 The Five People You Met in Heaven 5번째 읽어보는 시간이에요. 오늘 내용이 좀 길어서 빨리빨리 읽을게요. Today is Eddie's birthday. He is 5 years old. It's a Sunday afternoon at Ruby Pier. Picnic tables are set along the boardwalk, which overlooks the long white beach. There is a vanilla cake with blue wax candles. There is a bowl of organic juice. The pier workers are milling about. The barkers, the sideshow act, the animal trainers, some men from the fishery. Eddie's father, as usual, is in a card game. Eddie plays at his feet. His older brother, Joe, is doing push-ups in front of a group of elderly women who feign interest and clap politely. Eddie is wearing his birthday gift, a red cowboy hat, and a toy hustler. He gets up and runs from one group to the next, pulling out the toy gun and going, bang, bang. Come here, boy. Mickey sees beacons from a bench. Bang, bang goes Eddie. Mickey Shea works with Eddie's dad, fixing the lights. He is fat and wears suspenders and is always singing Irish song. To Eddie, he smells funny, like cough medicine. Come here, let me do your birthday bombs, he said, like we do on island. Suddenly, Mickey's large hands are under Eddie's armpits and he is hoisted up, then flipped over and dangled by the feet. Eddie's head falls up. Careful, Mickey, Eddie's mom yells. Eddie's father looks up, smirks, and returns to his card game. Ho, I got it. Mickey said, now one birthday bomb for every year. Mickey lowered Eddie gently until his head brushed the floor. One, Mickey lifted Eddie back up. The other joined in laughing. They yelled 2, 3, upside down. Eddie is not sure who is who. His head is getting heavy. 4, they shout. 5. Eddie is flipped right side up and put down. Everybody claps. Eddie reaches for his hat, then stumble over. He gets up, hovers to Mickey's chair, and punches him in the arm. Ho, what was that for, little man? Mickey says. Everyone laughs. Eddie turns and runs away, 3 steps before being swept into his mother's arms. Are you all right, my darling birthday boy? She is only inches from his face. She sees her deep red lipstick and her plump, soft cheeks and the waves of auburn hair. I was upside down, he tells her. I saw, she says. She puts his hat back on his head. Later she will walk him along the pier, perhaps take him on an elephant ride, or watch the fishermen pull in their evening nets, the fish flipping like shiny wet coins. She will hold his hand and tell him God is proud of him for being a good boy on his birthday, and that will make the world feel light side up again. The arrival. Eddie walked in a teacup. It was a part of some old amusement park ride. A rusty teacup made of dark, polished wood with a cushioned seat and a steel hinged door. Eddie's arm and legs dangled over the edge. The sky continued to change colors from a show leather brown to a deep scarlet. His instinct was to reach for his cane. He had kept it by his bed the last few years, because there were mornings when he no longer had the strength to get up without it. This embarrassed Eddie, who used to punch man in the shoulder when he greeted him. But now there was no cane, so Eddie had exhaled and tried to pull himself up. Surprisingly, his back did not hurt. His leg did not thrum. He yanked harder and hoisted himself easily over the edge of the teacup, landing awkwardly on the ground, where he was struck by three quick thoughts. First, he felt wonderful. Second, he was all alone. Third, he was still on Ruby Pier. But it was a different Ruby Pier now. There were canvas stands and vacant grassy sections, and so few obstructions you could see the mossy breakwater out in the ocean. The colors of the attractions were firehouse red and creamy white. No teals were maroon, and each ride had its own wooden ticket booth. The teacup he had a walk, and was part of primitive attraction called Spin-O-Rama. Its sign was plywood, as were the other long signs, hinged on storefronts that lined the promenade. El Tiempo cigars now that's a smoke. Chowders 10 cents. Riders Reaper, the sensation of the age. Eddie blinked hard. This was the Ruby Pier of his childhood some 75 years ago, only everything was new, freshly scrubbed. Over there was the Loop ride, which had been torn down decades ago, and over there the bathhouse and the saltwater swimming pool that had been raised in the 1950s. Over there, jutting into the sky, was the original Paris wheel, and its pristine white paint. And beyond that, the streets of his old neighborhood and the rooftops of the crowded brick tenements, with round lines hanging from the window. Eddie tried to yell, but his voice was raspy air. He mouthed, "Oh, hey," but nothing came from his throat. He grabbed at his arms and legs. Aside from his lack of voice, he felt incredible. He walked in a circle. He jumped. No pain. In the last 10 years, he had forgotten what it was like to walk without winching or to sit without struggling to find comfort for his lower back. On the outside, he looked the same as he had that morning, a squat, barrel-chested old man in a cap and shirt and a prime maintenance jersey. But he was limber, so limber. In fact, he could touch behind his ankles and raise a leg to his belly. He explored his body like an infant, fascinated by the new mechanics. A Rubberman stretch. Then he ran. Running. Eddie had not truly run in more than 60 years, not since the war, but he was running now, starting with a few gingerly steps, then accelerating into a full gait, faster like a running boy of his youth. He ran along the boardwalk, bait and tackle and stand for fisherman 5 cents. And a bathing suit lantern stand for swimmers 3 cents. He ran fast the shoot light called the Tipsy Doodle. He ran along the Lobby Pier promenade beneath magnificent buildings of Moorish design with spires and minarets and onion-shaped domes. He ran past the Parisian carousel with its carved wooden horse, glass miners, and Warwickshire organ. All shiny and new. Only an hour ago, it seemed he had been scraping rust from its piece in his shop. He ran down the heart of the old midway, where the weight guessers, fortune teller, and dancing gypsies had once worked. He lowered his chin and held his arm out like a grinder, and every few steps he would jump, the way children do, hopping, learning will turn to flying. It might have seemed ridiculous to anyone watching. This white-haired maintenance worker, all alone, making like an airplane. But learning boy is inside every man, no matter how old he gets. And then Eddie stopped running. He heard something, a voice tiny as if coming through a megaphone. How about him, ladies and gentlemen? Have you ever seen such a horrible sight? Eddie was standing by an empty ticket kiosk in front of Raji Theatre. The sign above read, "The world's most curious citizen, Ruby Pier Sideshow." Holy smoke, they were fat, they were skinny, said the white man. The sideshow, the freak house, the ballyhoo hall. Eddie recalled them shutting this down at least 50 years ago, about the time television became popular and people didn't need to see sideshows to tickle their imagination. Look well upon the savage, born into a most peculiar handicap. Eddie peered into the entrance. He had encountered some old people here. There was Jolly Jane, who weighed over 50 pounds and needed 2 men to push her up the stairs. There was a conjoined twin sisters, who shared a spine and played musical instruments. There were men who swallowed swords, women with beards, and a pair of Indian brothers whose skin went rubbery from being stretched and soaked in oils until it hung in bunches from their limbs. Eddie, as a child, had felt sorry for the sideshow cast. They were forced to sit in booths or on stages, sometimes behind bars, as parents walked past them, leering and pointing. A barker would ballyhoo the oddity. And it was a barker's voice, and Eddie heard now. Only a terrible twist of fate could leave a man in such a pitiful condition. From the farthest corner of the world, we have brought him for your examination. Eddie entered the darkened hall. The voice grew louder. This tragic soul has endured a perversal of nature. It was coming from the other side of a stage. Only here, at the world's most curious citizen, can you draw this near? Eddie pulled aside the curtain. Feast your eyes upon the most honest, The baker's voice vanished, and Eddie stepped back in disbelief. There, sitting in a chair alone on the stage, was a middle-aged man with narrow, stooped shoulders. Naked from the waist up, his belly sagged over his belt. His hair was closely cropped. His lips were thin, and his face was long and drawn. Eddie would have long since forgotten him, were it not for one distinguished feature. His skin was blue. "Hello, Edward," he said. "I had been waiting for you." 오늘은 여기까지 읽겠습니다. Bye. See you next time.